When I got the opportunity to audition, I was very excited. The show had been running already for a while, and was clearly kind of the jewel in the crown to have on your resume if you're an improviser.
I was a recurring role on Seinfeld as Suo Mishkivio Henry Candy Bar Heiress, aka the Braless Wonder. And Larry was very pivotal in those first episodes of my character. And so it felt like I was coming home to family in a way when I walked in the room.
I'd befriended Jeff, who had been roommates with Janine Garofalo, and we had hit it off, and he kept saying, I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to just bring you in for this show. So I feel like I might have auditioned a couple of times.
I think Larry sort of knew me because I played Kramer's roommate on Seinfeld in 1992. So I think he maybe remembered me. I don't know.
I was on a TV show called Hype. It was a sketch comedy show on the WB. And I'd done some impressions of Master P and Dr. Dre and some other impressions and sketches. And Marla Garland was actually the casting director for Hype and was Jeff Garland's wife at the time. So that's the reason why I got into the audition, because they knew I could do a rapper.
My agent at the time, she said that I had an audition to play a sheik, like a Saudi sheik or sheikh. And then I showed up to sign in and it said Sikh, S-I-K-H. And I go, oh no. I go, this is not a sheikh, this is a Sikh. This is an Indian Sikh. And I'm thinking to myself, my agent doesn't know the difference between a sheikh and a Sikh. That's not a good thing.
I remember watching the show and being a fan of the show, but that's what I guess made it so great. I had no idea who Larry David was. I didn't watch Seinfeld. I was pretty much a BET watcher at that time. I remember thinking, I was like, who is this little white man? He is so funny.
I was really surprised that when I got to the audition, there was no script. They just said, okay, the casting director just said, okay, I'm going to say a couple of things. You just respond to me.
I knew, of course, that it was improv. There was a lot of improv involved, but because there was an audition, somehow I figured that they would have a script or something.
Someone from casting came out, or it might have been a producer, I'm not sure who it was, came out to where all the actors were waiting. And we literally were taking notes, because this was, I like physically on a notebook. I had brought a notebook, thank God. And because they're rattling off, okay, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then Larry said this to you, and then you said this to him. And it was very detailed, and you're trying to keep all this in your head,
I was also excited that it was the type of situation where we were given a few different beats to hit during this short improvised scene that we would do.
They don't tell you much about it. They don't give you pages beforehand.
Literally, they gave me a little strip of paper that said, Maria cleans his house without a bra and Larry wants her to wear one. Go.
I don't remember getting anything besides, you're an Orthodox woman, you can't be there after sundown. That's it. It was literally like a narrow sheet of paper. I got a strip of paper, like literally like a cutout, like a strip. And then it said, don't let Larry into the theater with water.
They look like fortune cookie papers that you take out of a fortune cookie and you read your little beat and then you would go in and work with whoever. But what was really surprising to me was that I was actually improvising with Larry.
And Larry's there, which is kind of cool. You're like, oh, that's Larry David. And you're going to improvise with Larry David.
I went in the room and then I was like, oh, wait a minute. It was Larry David, Cheryl Hines, Jeff Garland. I was like, I thought it was going to be, one person.
When I got the sides, they didn't tell me that my character was going to have to tackle Larry David. I just knew and I knew I was going to end up reading with him, which was already challenging enough and nerve-wracking enough.
And so you literally just walk in and Larry gets up and just starts walking in like he walks across the room like he's walking into the restaurant, and you just go.
I can't remember the last time I went for an initial audition and the star of the show was in the room with you. And if you're not on your game, you're not getting the part.
I just remember going in and being surprised that Larry David was in the room. And I was like, oh, we are auditioning with Larry, like right out the gate.
Because you kind of are like looking around and going, is he smiling? Is he enjoying it? Is he not? There's definitely that.
then he said, so this is the deal. We're going to, just play with it. And meanwhile, I'm dying inside because I don't improv.
So one of the first things I said to him was, your name's Larry David. You got 2 first names. Where'd you come up with that? He's like, so things that would be inane, but to me, that would be, pertinent,
Because you're not playing a whole other context of what's going on in the rest of the episode. It's very moment to moment, right? So I'm just playing this moment that this person is getting on my nerves. I can't be with him after sundown. He's not getting it. Someone's going to have to jump.
So we improvise, and as you know, in a lot of the show is people getting into arguments with Larry. So it basically, you can't just go 0 to 60. It can't just be like, excuse me, you're blocking my view, and you can't just be like, well, get the hell out of here. You kind of gotta let it build.
It was a really unique experience and scary because you don't have any of your actor tools that you can rely on. You just have to show up.
And I lived across the street from Dave Keckner. So he told me, he said, you got to have stuff in your quiver. I was like, what's a quiver? He's like, you got to be able to whip it out. You got to have everything.
I think a lot of my prep going into the audition was really, should I wear a bra for the audition or not? I mean, the character is very specific with not wearing a bra. That's what the whole storyline was.
I had to go in. I couldn't go in as Chris and then do the character because you would not have believed me in the first place. So I went in, I had to convince myself that I could do the role. So I went in there as the Wolfman and made up some story about, I howl. It was a ridiculous rap name.
I wanted to dress very sexy, not necessarily revealing, but shapely. I wanted to look extremely hot, extremely attractive. And at the end of the day, he's got to look at this woman and be like, wow, And I had to be attracted to him. I had to find something or whatever it is that is attractive and be genuinely attracted to Larry David.
I remember I was in the parking lot and I ran into Cat Williams and I was like, Cat, I got to be a prostitute. Give me some prostitute stuff. Give me some things to say. And Cat Williams gave me a bunch of prostitute stuff and another comedian, Buddy Lewis. So I went in because Dave said, have that stuff in your quiver.
I remember him saying something along the lines of, I know you're young, but you can curse. Or, I know you just met us, or really go for it, really let it rip.
And so they said, Ellia, you're going to have to, when it comes to the time where the character has to tackle Larry, we want you to go ahead and tackle him and don't hold back. We need you to go for it. So when Larry and I were reading together and it was like going so well. And when the time came for me to tackle Larry, I took him down. And then I heard everybody, all the producers and everybody in the room went up into this uproarious laughter. But when I was done, I jumped up and I was like, oh, you okay? Are you okay? I was asking Larry if he was okay. He was like, I'm fine. That was great.
Ghostface Killer, Sticky Fingers, Mike Epps, Master P. I think all these people read for the role, but I felt like I knew the comedic element of what Curb was about was Larry is always in control. He's always the one who's driving everything. And if you can make him off guard or, unsure of himself, that's where the comedy is going to come from.
I just went for it. I was like, I'm a prostitute. That's the car. This little white man wants to pick me up. Let's go.
They were all just laughing. And then I got the part pretty quickly.
And it's one of those things where you leave, you go, that felt really good. I have no idea if I get it or not, but I had fun doing it. So it's probably one of the more fun auditions I've done.
It was fun. It was really fun to play. And I walked out of there feeling very high, as you do often when you're in kind of a space where people are really alive. And I thought, oh, I hope I get this because I'm very comfortable with Larry and I love his work as a writer. And this was the first time I had a chance to actually, be in the room with him as a co-creator in a way. So it was exciting.
My recollection is that I auditioned with another set of material. And I think I managed to get some laughs out of the people in the room. And then I was booked for an entirely different job. So talk about improvisation. Already, it was a curveball.
When I left the audition, Jeff knew that I was Chris, and Bob also knew. But Larry said, "Is he a good rapper?" He's like, and it's like, Larry is, he's an actor. He's an actor. And
they liked it so much that they let me keep my own name for the show. A lot of kids I went to high school with back in the Bronx actually thought when they saw the show that I was actually the president of HBO. I had to break the news to them.
I remember going to the grocery store afterwards, still in character, just to get a feel of how people would react to me, dressed up that way.
I have never had an audition like this whatsoever. Never before and never after, like Curb Your Enthusiasm, all improvised audition. It was definitely a first.
Larry was laughing, everybody was laughing. And, I didn't know if I got it. I was just crazy and went on back about my life. And when they called me, I was very excited.
So I was happy that I went for it, that I did do what they asked me to do, and that I had the courage to take him down, and it was so much fun.